Welcome to our channel Lightning Vision. Today Mother is going to explain to us what is personality versus individuality. Welcome, Mother.
Hello.
So it's pretty difficult to see the difference when we act or when we think, whether it is our personality or our individuality. Do you think that you can clarify or give us example on how to identify which one is coming out like our personality or individuality?
Yes, I can give it a try. It is not so easy because everything that you call in your life yourself is personality. And that is not a hazard that has been foreseen by the intelligence that created this world. We have to pass through this part of our evolutionary development to find out through personality who we are or what we are as a soul, and even higher one day a spirit. The spirit in us, that part of us that links us to the Godhead. But for the moment, the majority of the individuals are for 99%, most of the time identified to what the personality. And you can even say the Western world is very attached to that kind of identification. In the American language they talk about personality. In the American culture it is seen as something wonderful, having a brilliant personality. To be seen, to be noticed, to be strong. If you compare the Western culture to the Eastern culture, you will see two opposite tendencies. The Eastern culture was for many centuries or even thousands of years underlining the absence of personality. When you look at the Japanese cultures, even the Chinese, it was submission. It was obeying to superiors in all kinds of hierarchies, the samurai, the king and his knights, or in those Eastern cultures. In India there was the master and the disciple. In the Eastern cultures, the idea of submission to a superior force, whether it was a human force, your superior in a human hierarchy, or God, was far more seen as something worthy, of value. Whereas in the Western culture it's the contrary. Being submissive, obedient, is not seen as something that is good. You have to be powerful to defend your rights, your liberty, your freedom, your own vision of things. That is completely different. You can say that in the East the personality has not developed to the same extent as in the West, as in our civilization. That makes it for the Eastern cultures more easy to accept the idea of a Godhead, of God, of an intelligence that goes above us. Because they have deeply rooted in themselves this idea of submission to something that goes above them, that's higher than themselves. Here you touch the weak point of the Western society. A Westerner can hear many philosophies and more or less agree, or we discuss it, we communicate about it, we can tolerate it, but he will not submit. If you look at the the history of spiritual development in the West, you will see a few mystics that basically had an Eastern tendency in themselves of submitting to the Christ. From their youth already, they had it in them. But I would say that were souls that probably have had incarnations in the East. And now they come in the West and they can find in the Christian religion a mystical way to go the same path. They go in the East of submission. But that is not the majority. The majority in the Western civilization will not easily start submitting to the Christ, and even less to the Godhead, because they will say, but God, he has his meaning and I have mine. Or they will say at least, perhaps God has some kind of truth, but I also am a part of this truth. But by saying this, basically they mean I don't want to submit to something that is higher than me myself. So there you touch the question of personality. I do not say this is wrong, no, because in the West it was foreseen that we should develop a stronger personality than in the East. The East has had another mission in the development of humanity as a whole. We have this mission to develop the personality, but it's part of the road. One day we will have to transform. If I say submit, it's too much for many of us. To transform, and even that word already says everything. I mean, a Westerner can more or less accept or understand the word transform my lower nature. Because in the word transform, he still finds a part of his lower nature back without talking about it. Because he will transform himself. The difficulty about personality and individuality, or the personality or the ego and the soul, is that in the East they knew that to transform this ego you had to lose yourself into something that goes above you. In the West, that is for the moment, for most of us, inconceivable. It's even called a sickness if you lose your personality and you become nothing. And still, this is one day the road for all of us. But it's not. This nothing is not what you think. That's the difficulty. In this nothing, you will become a real personality, but a divine personality. That's a way of speaking. I have to explain this better. But this personality, a personality that is transformed by something that goes above us, becomes unique, but submitted. Whereas for the moment we have many individuals that try to be unique, but it's a mass. For me they're all the same personalities that all defend their own rights and end up nowhere. I'm sorry. They fight all their life for having nothing at the end. So their philosophy doesn't work, but that's another question. The personality in man is something, as I said, that has been valued and estimated in the West for thousands of years. That was part of our development, our contribution to humanity in the Western part of the world. But one day we have to face this and to say to ourselves, well, perhaps the moment has come to make this rude and resistant matter a bit more flexible, and to submit it to another force in myself, which in some way is also myself, because we're all parts of God, of this intelligence, this creator. But the struggle that I have to face is that for the moment I'm identified to my lower nature, to this personality, and I think that the other part of me, which is a part of me, the individuality, for the moment I live it as not me. And that's the submission. Because you're identified with the lower self, with the personality, and you think that is you, you will immediately resist when another part of yourself, which you do not recognize being a part of you, will try to dominate that part. When your individuality comes in your consciousness and says to your personality, this is a kind of, it's a way I use to describe the process. When my individuality comes in me and shows that my personality is wrong, somehow in a vision it has, or in something it wants to do and it's not the best thing to do, when I feel inside the struggle, where I want to do something and I better not do it, well, that's the fight. That's the fight that many of us try to go around. And we try to compromise. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. But that doesn't work like that. And I will talk about it in the next video. Life is nothing else than a long road of submission, gradual submission, of the lower nature, the personality, to the individuality or the soul. But because it takes many lives, thousands of years to get there, we have the feeling it's, little by little we'll get there. It's true. It's true. But if you analyze life very clearly, you will see that, finally, it never gets the way you want. So, what's the word of your personality? Because it's the personality that wants things. Mm. And when finally it never gets the way you want, then what's the word of that personality? And why do you go on believing in her the way you do?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's for the next subject.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mother. Oh. If you enjoyed that video, I hope you did. Please subscribe so you don't miss the next video. So part 2 of what is the personality and individuality. And I invite you to listen to the beautiful song at the end. And we will see you very soon. Have a good day.
تترك نفسك وتوعدها لا تترك نفسك وتوعدها بل فاصحبها وأبحثها ما فيها بل فاصحبها وأبحثها ما فيها لا تترك نفسك وتوعدها لا تترك نفسك وتواجهها بل فاصحبها وأبحثها ما فيها بل فاصحبها وأبحثها ما فيها لا تترك نفسك وتواجهها لا تترك نفسك وتواجهها بل فاصحبها وأبحثها ما فيها